Hurts with the snap. Chiefs again trying to get pressure on him. They're going to sack him. Mike Dana grabs him along with Derek Nottie.
That was part of another solid season for edge rusher Mike Dana in 2021. The Chiefs grabbed him in the 5th round of the 2020 draft just a couple years ago, and he's really grown into a nice rotational edge rusher on this defense. Now, if the Chiefs want to add some more young edge rushers along the defensive line going into next season, the upcoming draft is a great place to do that. And for more on that topic, we're checking in today with Mike Renner from Pro Football Focus. And Mike, we'll start in the 1st round. Let's say the Chiefs want to go edge rusher at pick number 30. Who are some names to know?
I think it's very possible that they do go edge rusher at pick 30 because of the way his class stacks up. I think by there, the kind of the pipe dream, the guy you're hoping falls there is someone like Jermaine Johnson in Florida State. Who's transferred from Georgia after his junior year, went to Florida State. I think he played something like the most or second most snaps of any edge rusher in the country. Never came off the field there. He went down to the Senior Bowl. Highest graded guy through the week of practice there, was just very solid. He's not necessarily the high end that people usually chase, like top 10 in terms of athletically, but he's a guy that is just very technically sound, that, like I said, immediate impact kind of guy. And that's what you're hoping for at that pick. Probably the other guy I'd highlight who's in a similar mold, who, depending on how he tests at the combine, could be in that range of back end of the 1st round, is Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State. That's another transfer. He transferred from Temple the past year, dominated at Penn State, dominated some good tackles, guys like Nicholas Petit-Frere from Ohio State over the course of last season. So those are two guys, seniors coming out, more NFL ready type of guys, I think, that could actually make an impact next year for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's kind of similar to Mike Dana, too, in a way, because Dana was at Central Michigan and then transferred to Michigan. So I really respect these guys that put up big numbers at smaller schools, then transfer to show what they can do, kind of like a stepping stone to the NFL. So Arnold Ebiketie is certainly worth watching. Now, I mentioned Mike Dana, also Joshua Kendo. The Chiefs grabbed him in the 4th round of last year's draft. He was hurt for most of last season, but showed some things at times. It basically just demonstrates that you can find potential impact edge rushers later on in the draft. On day 2 and day 3, who are some sleepers to keep an eye on this time around?
Yeah, this year it is a very, like I said, deep edge class. That's one of the strongest positions of anywhere in the draft this year. I think the guys, late 2nd round, late 3rd round, maybe, that I'd probably keep an eye on are guys like Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati. He's probably a little bit more of a project. I'm not sure he's necessarily a great fit for that defense. He's more of a true 3-4 type of outside linebacker, but he's a guy who could be a pure pass rusher for you. He's a heck of an athlete coming out of Cincinnati. I'd also highlight Boye Mafe from Minnesota, who's in a similar mold in that this high-end athlete, really kind of raw in how he rushes the passer. That's a little concerning when you guys like that who are seniors. Mafe, a 5th-year guy himself, to where it's like, why is he raw? But I do think you still bet on that athleticism, and that's why they're not going in the 1st round, and why you can maybe find those guys at the back end of the 2nd.
Yeah, the one thing you can't teach are tools. So I guess the hope is if you have that raw ability, get them in your building and see what your defensive coaching staff can do with them. Certainly lots of options out there at edge rusher. It's a very deep class, like you said. Brett Veach mentioned just a few weeks ago that defensive line will be an emphasis area this offseason, and the draft is a great place to do that. So we'll see what takes place here in late April, but certainly lots of options for the Chiefs if they want to add to their pass rush. He's Mike Renner. Check out his work at Pro Football Focus. If you want to elevate your way of thinking about football, Pro Football Focus is the perfect place to do it. Mike, awesome stuff as always, man. Really appreciate your time.
For sure. Thanks for having me on, Matt.